ladies and gentlemen, America has seen a huge drop in school attendance this year. And no, it's not remote learning. This big drop was occurring during in person classes. So, this is the Wall Street Journal. Y'all, I mean, when does it end? When does it end? Never. So, public schools all across the country have seen a drop in unusually low levels, complicating efforts to keep schools open. Now, we know all of these districts are very short on staff, and that's been an ongoing problem that's not going away. I even read some articles where they're trying to get retired teachers back in the room out of desperation. So this is impacting many students from kindergarten to 12th grade are being kept home because the parents are completely anxious, and they're feeling it's not safe for their kids to be there. They're afraid for their children getting sick, and nobody can blame them for that. So many districts have in the recent weeks gone to remote learning, but there are still some districts that are not offering it. And those are the districts that are getting hit the worst with the worst attendance. All right, so remote learning isn't being offered uh, anymore for students who are home. So I think a lot of these students that, I'm sorry, a lot of these schools that said they were going to just do remote learning for a few weeks, I think it's going to end up being permanent. I really do. So, New York is, of course, one of the largest school districts in the country, saw an overall attendance rate below 70% when classes resumed and after the holiday break. Now, you may remember New York was one of those school districts that was adamant about opening everything back up on time. It is not going so well. It's not going well. So far beneath the district's pre-pandemic average of 91% of students at school each day. Many students miss classes because of fears of, number one, they are getting tested all the time. And number two, there's a fear of getting sick, or a family member might have tested positive, so they're not sending their kids to school. There's never been anything like this, said Arthur Goldstein, a teacher at Francis Lewis High School in Queens, New York, referring to the sustained low attendance. He has taught in New York City for 37 years and held classes in the aftermath of disasters, including 9/11 and Hurricane Sandy. Depressed attendance rates have created significant challenges for teaching and learning, he said. Students who miss class may fall behind academically and socially, he added. Thousands of public schools around the U.S. have temporarily moved away from in person learning this month, largely because of staff shortage, despite the growing recognition of academic and psychological harm to students of remote instruction. Most of the nation, nearly 100,000 public schools are open, if not necessarily filled with students. Boston Public Schools student attendance hover around 70% since winter break ended January 4th, officials said, down from 90% before the holidays. Since last week, more than 1,000 new cases involving students have been reported. This is out of Boston. Nearly 49,000 students attend city public schools. Hundreds of the district's roughly 4,400 teachers have also been sick as well. We're seeing, this hit our staff just as hard as our students, said Mark Racine, a Boston district chief information officer. He said students have access to online service that let them communicate with a tutor at any hour, and some teachers are allowing students to attend remotely via Zoom. Heather Hill, a professor at Harvard University Graduate School of Education, said some teachers she knows around the US are teaching new material despite the high absenteeism through more slowly than usual. So some teachers are trying to keep absent students up to speed by holding after school Zoom calls and having students in class stream video to their peers at home. Others have set a camera in their classroom. She said, as teachers, it's really making it hard for you because you got to think about who has what content, who needs what content, what you need to do to make sure kids catch up, Ms. Hill said. Research showed that students' standardized test scores suffered with each additional absent, she said. An average student with 10 absences during the school year would be expected to score around 3 percentile points lower than the average student who missed no school, she said. In Chicago, two-thirds of public school students were present on January 3rd, the first day after winter break, rising to 72% the next day. That was the last school day before a multi day shutdown that is set to end Wednesday. Yeah, they're trying to go back to in person classes there. I did see that. At the end of the day, this is all about money. I don't care about these kids. It's all about money that these mayors don't want to lose. By comparison, attendance was about 85% during the last week of school before winter break. Historically, it has been around 90%, according to the school district. Chicago resident Davine Davis kept her 11-year-old son Daniel home the first day after winter break so he could get tested. She said that the school um, you know, she said that being in school benefits his physical and mental health. And he is a diligent face covering wearer. So she sent him to school. All right. So Daniel said his class of nearly 30 was only a little over half after the winter break because there wasn't many students. It wasn't as loud. And it could, he said he could really focus. Mm-mm-mm. So, a high school junior, Mia Paulus, um, she also goes to school in Chicago, was talking about the poor attendance at her school. One day last week was she was forced to postpone a project she was eager to finish for her digital media class, a silent film in which he plays a police officer. I'm mentally ready, she recalls, thinking before school last Tuesday. So, wow. In Dallas, teacher and school staff absence are up, but the remaining at the high end of normal levels. Officials said Albuquerque, New Mexico. School officials said student attendance is likely lower than normal, but administrative staff shortages have prevented the district from collecting complete data. Rochester, New York public schools last week said it ranged from 61 to 66%, according to school district data. Just 44% at one high school were present on January 3rd. Barely half showed up at one elementary school. Mm-mm-mm. All right. So, as you can see, this is happening all around the country. And in person classes are not working out as they thought. You know, I know during our first lockdown, They were saying that attendance was poor remotely. Well, this is in-person class, and I think is even down more now than it was remotely back in 2020. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Would you be comfortable just watching everything close down nationwide? Would you be comfortable continuing to send your children to school? Or are you that parent that's doing remote learning, or you're homeschooling your children yourself? I mean, what are you going to do if this continues into 2022 and 2023? Are you still willing to do in person classes? Let me know in the comment section. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.